We're on.
We are on, man.
Yes. And we'll do like we did last week. Since I can't do an intro with this StreamYard thing, we'll give it a couple minutes, give some people time to see that we're on, and hopefully come on and chat with us.
I mean, if you'd like to, I could do an impromptu intro where I just sit here and scream for about 30 seconds.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
Oh my god.
What's the weather like been there? Man, I haven't seen the sun in like a week here.
Dude, okay, so you know my ritual. After I'm done with work, because I'm working remote, like a lot of people are working remote, I go and jog 2 miles basically every day. And I stepped outside, and I haven't looked at the temperature. So some of you know, like you can step outside and go, oh, I know it's 60 degrees. I'm sorry, I wasn't born with that gift, and I didn't look at my phone, but I'll guarantee you it's low 60s with a breeze. It's awesome outside. No, it's cloudy, but you're talking about when you're jogging. Oh, it's awesome.
It's been the same here.
But
it's been cold. It's been cool, and it's been, well, before it got cool yesterday, it's been rainy. It's rained every single day for probably at least the past 5 days.
Oh my god,
it's been ridiculous. But did you hear about Tiger Town Tavern shutting down because of the COVID thing?
Yeah, I mean, how depressing. How depressing, man. Why don't we raise some money and buy it?
Sure. Problem is I don't live there.
I conveniently, well, I'm an hour from it. I can go down there and run it for us, my friend.
Yeah.
I would make one heck of a bartender. I've did some minor bartending in the past, so I could run the thing, my friend.
We got who we got in here? Tiger Nation, Clemson Carson, Ballard Sports Media, Andy Nickas.
Wow.
Nate the Great, don't be late. Nate Kingston's in the house. Who else is in here?
I'm getting on here just to look in. I'm being a really, really poor YouTube person. What do we call ourselves?
YouTuber.
YouTuber. I'm hopping in here myself. Let me see. No thumbs down. So I'm going to go ahead and give us our first thumb down.
All right, do that. Yeah.
So someone doesn't feel like they're burning us.
Yeah, get yourself ahead of the curve on that one.
Yeah. You suck. Well, I voted first that we were home. So.
Bubba Clemson's in here. How you doing, sir?
Bubba Clemson.
Yeah.
Sub. Ballard Sports.
I think
Clemson Carson.
I want to say Bubba Clemson's up there in your neck of the woods, if I'm not mistaken.
Bubba Clemson, I'm in the Greer area. Where are you at, my friend?
He's somewhere up there.
Yeah.
He's somewhere up in the upstate, I think. I could be wrong about that, but he's called into my show a couple times. He's a good dude. But it looks like we got about, 15, 20 people in here right now. My computer lags when it comes to that thing. But welcome, everybody. This is episode number 2 of College Football Talk with Pete and Bobby. And that's an ironic name for this show. I mean, it's very generic, College Football Talk, but pretty much what we do here. And it's also ironic because there's no college football to be talked about really right now. But we do this every single Tuesday during the summer at 7 p.m. live for you. And so we hope you'll enjoy it. And the point of this is for us to just get together, a very loose sort of stream here. We just talk about stuff that's in the news, talk about college football. And of course, maybe the most important thing is we like to answer some questions from you guys in the chat. Because we don't get time to do that, or at least I don't get time to do that as much as I would like to do on my call-in shows because I'm too busy focusing the very minuscule amount of brain cells that I do have left on trying to run the call-in show, and I miss a lot of the comments. So that's the reason we do that here tonight.
I just had a weird moment where I looked up in the camera, guys, and I realized that the Clemson emblem on my shirt was like sideways, okay? So all of a sudden, I'm like, it's like backing up, and if you never backed up with a trailer behind you, and you start doing this, and you realize you're totally going the wrong way. That's what just happened there. Real quick, I see in here that we got is that Raymond or Ramon Jordan?
Ramon.
Right? Ramon.
Yes.
What's up? I see Bubba Clemson says he was raised, or he's in Anderson. I'm from Seneca, my friend. There we go, Bobcats. Were you TL Hannah, or were you West Side? For all of you people out there who really doesn't know what we're talking about, you're outside of this area. West Side High School had Sean Ellis. Mo Brown, about, I don't know, 10 years ago, played for South Carolina. He played at Westside. And then if you go over to T.O. Hanna, you have people like Martavius Bryant. You have Ben Boulware. You have, what is that? Raphael Little. It was the running back at Kentucky years ago. So that's some good football country.
There's a lot of great players that come out from the upstate of South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Where was Nuke Hopkins? What town was he from?
He was from Central, and he played at Daniel High School. And I had the honor of seeing him and Martavis play against each other. That was incredible, my friend.
And of course, Hunter Renfro was from Myrtle Beach, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. I think he played for what was it? Was it Myrtle Beach High School?
Socastee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I welcome Ramon, Clemson Carson. I think I might already have said him. Nadu, we're going to talk about Mike Gundy here in a second, sir. Man. Unfortunately, I wish we had some more positive stuff to talk about. We got to talk about what's in the news here. And this thing, I tweeted out yesterday when I read this story when it first popped up, right? So the first thing I saw, well, let's just start from the beginning. I'm sure everybody in here knows what we're talking about, but I've got to set it up anyways, because there continues to be developments in this, and it just gets crazier and crazier as the news comes out. So the first thing was on Twitter yesterday, Chuba Hubbard. I don't even know how to say this guy's name. Is it Chuba or Chuba?
I believe. I mean, who really cares at this point? He's ticked me off. But go ahead.
I'm going to say Chuba.
Okay.
Chuba Hubbard tweets out he's not standing for this anymore. Him and the other players, and he posts underneath it a picture of Mike Gundy on a boat. Dabo Swinney was by a pool. Mike Gundy's by a boat. We see a theme here. Water sports have a lot to do with this, I guess.
Horrible idea.
And he has a shirt on that says OAN, which stands for One America News, which is a news network. Mm-hmm. So it was very vague, right? So everyone was like, is he mad about the fact that Mike Gundy watches One America News or supports One America News or whatever, or that he's obviously maybe a Republican or conservative or whatever, because I guess that's a conservative news network.
Yeah,
I don't know. Which is ridiculous if that's the reason he's mad about it. But listen, okay, whatever. I'm still willing to listen. So then only like 3 hours later, they release a video that's posted again on Chuba Hubbard's Twitter page of them in the football facility at Oklahoma State, him and Mike Gundy. Good thing about this video is they were social distancing until the end. They were at least 6 feet apart until the end when they gave each other some dap. But basically what happened was Mike Gundy says nothing really. He says, I had a meeting with my players. I understand where they're coming from. We're going to be making some changes around here. And then he turns it over to Hubbard. Hubbard says, what does Hubbard say? Hubbard says, I should have gone to coach first instead of just going on Twitter like that. But we're going to make some changes around here. It was very vague. And then they gave each other a weird sort of handshake at the end there, sort of a dap. So then everybody, of course, this is blown up all over the internet. It's on ESPN at this point. It's on the internet, whatever. Everyone's coming down on them from both sides. So what I was like, this can't just be over a t-shirt, right? Because look, I don't care what anybody thinks about it. I don't know anything about OAN network other than the 5 minutes I've watched of it. It's no different than the rest of these news networks. Listen, CNN and NBC are left-wing sided news networks. Fox News and apparently OAN are right-wing sided news networks. But since when do we care what news networks our coaches watch? So then it was like, it's not about the shirt. It's not about the shirt. It's not about the shirt. Well, all I heard in that tweet and in the video they posted was about the shirt. I didn't hear anything else. So I said, okay, if it's not about the shirt, then what's it about? So then today, earlier this afternoon, the Oklahoma State players listed their demands. Let me see if I can
I stop you there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't help this because when he sent me, because Pete sent me the screenshot of this, and I held off of saying anything. Not that I was second guessing you, but I know that there are some entities who will put out something fake just to get people to buy and then shame them and say, see, you fall for propaganda. And that's actually a tactic by some people. That's actually a real thing. Just trust me, I'm a marketing major. I promise you it's real. But then I'm looking, as we're sitting here, not second guess you, my friend, this is real. What he is about to say is real. So if you've thought you've heard it all, it's about to get really good. So sit down, because this is great. Please proceed.
All right. Yeah. And first of all, thank you to Goat Watson for the super chat. I'm sorry I missed that when I was on my little rant there. You're the man, sir. Anyway, yeah. So here's the demands that Oklahoma State players have. Now, actually, there's probably at least 2 of these on here that I can get down with, that I kind of agree with. The rest of them, not so much. All right, number 1, earrings. I'm assuming he doesn't let them wear earrings in the facility. I don't know if that's more of a fashion issue or a safety issue. That he doesn't want them to get their earrings ripped out. I don't know. Anyway, number 2, do-rags and wave caps. So I guess he doesn't want them to wear do-rags or wave caps. Number 3, ability to sag pants, which I'm sorry, but that one's funny. Number 4. Now this one I can agree with him on. The hair. I don't understand. Now you're talking about a guy who has a mullet here. So how is a guy with a mullet going to tell these players what hairstyle they can and can't have? Now
exactly.
That seems ridiculous. So I can get with him on the hair thing. I don't understand that at all. Now this one, number 5, music previously could not contain curse words, derogatory language towards women, or derogatory racial terms. And all of these demands were agreed to by Mike Gundy.
Okay, let's go back to this. You and I could spend like 3 hours talking about this, and I'm going to go ahead and say, before I go any farther, the very next person who comes on our board and calls us any names, I want to go ahead and tell you, I know who I am. I don't need you to define me, and yeah, I'm totally fine with that. This is the most ridiculous thing ever. So, all right, so imagine the team getting together, going, all right, guys, we have the university's attention. We have the country's attention. We can make a statement. We can make a difference. Go. What do we want? Man, I definitely want our music back where we can have derogatory language towards women and race. And listen, I think the hair thing was just a poke at Gundy, because if there is
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, if there is one thing that an entire university should have addressed a long time ago, was that Billy Ray Cyrus hair. You're telling me that he can't watch a conservative, even some says conspiracy. So who cares if it's conspiracy theory, y'all? Who cares if it's conspiracy theory? I went on there yesterday, never heard of this news site. Went on there. I was looking for Klan paraphernalia. That's what everybody would like. Chubby, he's like, or Chibo, whatever the heck. I could care less. He's on there like, man, we got to change this. And I go in here and it's just like a bunch of white and Hispanic people telling their version of the news. And by the way, everybody tells their version of the news.
Every news station is completely biased. Completely.
Everybody yes. tells their version of the news. Okay, so I'm expecting, race, like true blue, out there, bold face racism. I'm expecting crazy. Didn't find it. I didn't find it. But they're going to demand he can't wear that shirt. But we want our music with derogatory language towards women and race. Well, guys, I've heard it all.
So we know that Dabo Swinney caught some flack for this because he didn't want this is part of the Dabo Swinney controversy too. Because he just said he didn't want to have, he's constantly having guests in the facility and he's showing them around.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to have somebody walk in the locker room, whether they be white, black, or whatever, and hear the N-word blasted over and over again over the speakers. And so they said that was racist to tell black people they can't listen to rap or something. No, listen, you can't go to your job. What's that list again? Let's look at it. If you want to be a bag boy at Publix, you have to follow by every single one of these rules. I'm sure they probably don't let you sag your pants. You probably have to be in uniform, right? I'm sure they don't want you running around yelling the derogatory terms towards women or racial slurs. I'm sure a lot of them probably have policies where you can't wear earrings or do-rags, right?
Yep.
So this is the real world, folks. As a matter of fact, there's most schools out there. I know Clemson does this, and I'm pretty sure that like Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State and all the successful football programs, they make their guys dress up in three-piece suits on game day. I mean, they can't walk in there in their sweatpants hanging around their knees, and it's just the way the real world works. But anyway, that's besides the point. But you know what happened? Right before we came on air tonight, like an hour before we came on air tonight. So Mike Gundy releases this apology video. Now might be the funniest video on the internet. if you haven't seen this video. So the first thing he does is now to preface this. So everyone was saying it's not about the shirt. It's not about the shirt. It's about racial and injustice or whatever on campus. So I'm like, I'm willing to listen to that. If there's something going on there shady, then let's hear about it. I'm all ears. It's not about the shirt. It's not about the shirt. So then Mike Gundy comes on. First thing he says, I had a meeting with my players yesterday. They voiced their concerns with me about a shirt that I was wearing yesterday and a picture, and that involved a certain news network. He said, once I went and researched this news network, I found out that they weren't supporting Black Lives Matter or something. And so he apologized profusely for wearing the shirt and said he'll disassociate himself with the news network, which is complete BS. He doesn't. First of all, he doesn't believe that, or he's probably watching it right now. He probably went home and turned it on. He's watching it right now.
I'm sorry, man. You're making me laugh.
He's probably watching it right now.
Oh my God.
But clearly he was reading off of a teleprompter and he was saying whatever he had to say. But here's the bottom line. Hey, listen, you got to give it to the players, man. They wanted some changes. As asinine as those changes might seem to people like you and me, they got it.
Yeah.
They got it.
Yep. They got it. And you know what's so sad about it was they used their voice. And that's something I continuously hear in this that I find absolutely hilarious, what we're using our voice for. And people who has misused it. They use their voice to get back to how can I say this? I almost said something and I know that it's going to be recorded and it's going to be really, really bad, but it's a B word for women. They're fighting so they can have those songs that says that over and over and over. I just wonder, where are the feminists when this happens? Because
here's my thing. I even play it on my channel. I love rap music. I play that stuff on my channel. Yeah. I don't have any problem with it. Here's the difference though. I don't go to my job and play it.
Nope.
And here's the other part of it. Nobody's saying you can't do any of those things. You just can't do it in the facility because that's basically it's basically like being at work on the clock, right? There's rules. You can't go into your classroom and do that. So why would you be able to do it in the football facility?
Is there TV shows that you watch or movies that you watch, like it's stuff that is made like, maybe you just go to regular movies. You watch a Netflix series that's labeled mature because of the language. You have young kids. I have young kids. I don't watch that stuff in front of them. And some of that stuff, I'm just like, okay, this is just a little too gruesome for me. I'm just not going to watch it. Part of that is just, and I know these are kids and everybody's going to say they're kids and everything. Listen, these kids were about to end a guy's, not only his career, but his reputation. And so what they did was they dangled this little network that barely anybody even knows, that if you go and research, they're not the Klan. I hate to tell you, they're not. They dangled his career, his everything, so they could sag their pants and listen to music with derogatory.
DeGoat Watson brings up a point that I'm sure a lot of people feel this way. He's saying players aren't getting paid. You're getting paid at work. DeGoat Watson, there's still rules in an organization, so whether you're getting paid or not. Well, listen, they're getting paid more than I am. They're getting I don't know how much money for a stipend. They're getting probably a couple $1,000s a month or close to that for a stipend for living expenses. Plus they're getting a full paid scholarship. Now I know people are going to say this is a whole nother debate about paying players and not paying players. Bottom line is they're getting tens of thousands of dollars a year worth of things to play football there. And by the way, if they don't want to play football there, they don't have to. Nobody's forcing them to do that.
Nobody is putting a gun to their head saying, you must walk out on this field. You must play football.
And I could tell you right now, do you think Nick Saban's putting up with any of that nonsense over at Alabama? Do you think,
I think they're scared to death?
Do you think Urban Meyer would put up with any of that up when he was at Ohio State?
Nope.
I don't. Or when he was at Florida. I mean, he did have players, shooting people, but that's a different story. He didn't know about that.
He didn't know that, allegedly. No, he didn't know about that. I don't think he would have put up with that. I think I'm looking up their team right now. I'm sorry, that's what I've been doing.
Right DeGoat Watson. DeGoat Watson. We'll have to agree to disagree. He's saying I don't see any problem with 18 and 19-year-old kids being 18 and 19-year-old kids either. I don't. But when you're in the facility, there's rules. They can go when football practice is over. They can go back to their apartment, their dorm, and do whatever they want to do. I have no problem with that. And on the weekends, they can go out and have fun with their friends and do whatever they want to do. I would do the same thing. But there's got to be a standard for everybody inside the football facility, a minimum standard. Now, again, I don't agree with everything that they were banned on doing. The hairstyle thing is stupid. I don't understand why they can't wear a do-rag either. I mean, that's not any different. That's just an accessory to your fashion. I don't have a problem with that either. But some of those things, especially the music one in the locker room, and I don't know about the earring thing.
I want to know I want to know the context, because in that with the whole earring thing, I know tons of dudes who have earrings and don't have problems with earrings, everything, blah blah blah. I want to know the context. Is the context the guys are coming out there wanting to wear their studs while they're practicing with their helmet on? That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. Well, NFL does it. Son, you're not in the NFL. You are not in the NFL. One of the great things about college football, I think that's still left until they get rid of that and burn it down, is that the head coach is the yay and nay of the team. When you get to the pros, and I know you love the pros, and I have tons of family and friends who loves the pros, and I'm one of the very few who I'll watch it, but I'm not crazy over it. It's because the head coach is not in control, guys. I'm sorry. When the head coach supposed to be the authority and the guy who's throwing the ball or blocking on the line makes more than him, how can you leverage the authority there? You really can't. Here, he is the yay and nay. And I'll tell you from Indigo, I see your point. I agree to a point. I don't want to see like a dictatorship, but I will tell you this: if one of my sons walked into a locker room and I've got this God knows what playing in the background, and the coaches are fine with it, I'm going to imagine what it would be like to leave my son there, be around this environment when he wasn't raised. My kids listen to certain things. Well, one of them's only 13, and we're very careful what he listens to. But as he gets older, we're like, he's going to make his own decisions. Okay, I get that. But am I going to turn them over to somebody who has structure, or am I going to turn it over to somebody who's lost their darn mind, who might not have complete control? We might just have to agree to disagree, you know?
Well, I understand where people like DeGoat Watson are coming from. That'll lead us into this next part of this, is that I completely can disagree with somebody's viewpoint, but still understand where they're coming from. I don't have a problem with that. The problem is there's a lot of people these days. You can't, if you disagree with them, then you're out. There is no civil discourse. And that brings us to the shirt the guy was wearing. I don't care which party you vote for. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, whatever.
Yep.
Here's the bottom line. If these guys are worried about whether their coach votes Republican or not, they're going to have a hard time in the NFL, because I promise you that probably at least 50% or more of the coaches in the NFL vote Republican. Some of the teammates will vote Republican, and probably 31 out of the 32 owners will vote Republican, because they're all billionaires.
Yeah.
And so are they going to refuse to play for NFL teams too? I mean, this is just the real world. Whatever happened to just disagreeing with people but still saying, I disagree with you, but I understand where you're coming from. Whatever happened to that?
Does that mean that they're only going to play in front of certain fans? Does that mean that they're only going to allow certain people who agree with them in their political thoughts to wear their jersey? I mean, seriously,
all politicians are crooks anyway, from every side. So we may as well just ban news altogether.
Yeah, and here's the sad thing, and this is all people in the NFL. This is no matter what you look like, no matter what your race card is, no matter how big you are, how poor you are, how whatever. Well, in the NFL, you're not poor, but so I just want to make that perfectly clear because somebody on here, because people loves to get on to get on the internet and misconstrued words and twist it and turn it and everything. So I made it clear. So if anybody hears anything else, I declare you officially stupid. But I even kind of lost my point that I was going to say there. Now I'm officially stupid. But if you cannot live in a world where you just disagree and you walk away, you just walk away and say, hey, man, I disagree with you. That's fine. What we've done now, and I said this on the Mark Rogers show the other night, you and I were on there, DeAndre was on there. It was a fantastic show. Everybody should go check it out. Mm-hmm. Was here's what we do now. Instead of me calling you a name, whether it's perverted, whether it's foul language or whatever, here's what we do. We strong arm people into doing what we want them to do. So we start calling them names like racist. They're not a racist, but we call them a racist because all we know is they get scared that they might lose their job, they might lose this, they might lose that. Everybody hates them, hates their kids, and their kids are paying for it. So now that's how we strong arm you into doing what we want you to do. And it's not the case. If you're a racist, I'll drive down to your house and personally get out and beat the piss out of you. Okay? I'm not going to put up with that crap. I'm also not going to put up with people trying to intimidate me. And this is the thing about these 18, 19-year-old kids who a lot of these boys, I don't care what they look like, have been spoon-fed because they've been great athletes. I can tell you people, I know for sure that I will not call their name because I don't want to have a run-in with them. Not because I'm not scared. It's not because I'm scared of them. It's just, I'm telling you, there's some big names who even played at Clemson. I know their background. I know where they came from. And whether mom and dad was in the picture or not, those coaches, that community, that school treated them like gods. And they took care of them. People took care of them better than most of us here was taken care of. And they're going to act like they're some type of victim. And so they come in here and they look at this coach and they go, here he is. He has got the Billy Ray Cyrus hair. Oh, my God, does he wear a shirt that I don't like? Oh, this is our opportunity. Instead of going to him as men, behind closed doors and looking at him and say, look, I respect you. You respect me. Let's talk about this. I don't like that. Instead of having that, what did they do? They knew exactly what they were doing. And by the way, for all of you out there who continue to call these guys kids, I remember what it's like to be young. I'm not saying that they're all this or all that they're just, they're just men and they just completely know better. I'm just saying for all of you out there, when does a person become an adult? Like, is it like 24 to 27? Is it 30? When is it? Because I was looking at Chuba, whatever the crap his name is, which, by the way, I've lost a lot of respect for him. I know he'll sleep well at night. I could care less. And I know he could care less. He's a junior in college. So this guy is sitting at about 20, 21 years old. So when does he become an adult? Does he become an adult when he enters the NFL? Well, no, he's a rookie, man. Now he's getting used to the money and the women. And, well, he's had the women for a while, but, now he's needing more money. Give him a few years. When do these guys become men and they realize that in the real world, you go to somebody behind closed doors and look at them and say, hey, man, I got a problem. Instead of conveniently, like that wuss Kenyon Tuttle, who stirred up this entire deal, which, by the way, if you think that he really cared about Perryman or Pearman saying the N-word in a practice 3 years ago, and he's just now breaking it, if you believe that he really cared about that, no. DeAndre McDaniel called him out and said, buddy, you're an opportunist. That's on Twitter. You can go find it. Go follow DeAndre McDaniel, and you can find it for yourself because I sent it to Pete. He said, you're an opportunist. You're trying to gain a fame out of this situation. That's all you're doing. So what I am saying now, and yes, I'm pissed, is Chuba was just doing, somebody gave me his pronunciation of his name. Chuba, he was just strong arming his coach. That's all he was doing. Here's the problem for you, Chuba. You better beg to God you continue to make tons and tons and tons and tons of money. And even those people, when they begin to strong arm too many people, guess what happens to them? People come back on them. So you got away with this one. You're going to get your saggy pants. And
I don't blame him. He got what he wanted.
He got what he wanted. You're going to get to listen to your music however you want to. He did get what he wanted.
I just said, like I said on Mark Rogers' show the other night, I think that people that are racist are the most despicable human beings on the earth, and that's just the way I feel about it. But I think it's a real problem to divert from the real people that we need to be going after and start diverting it to people who aren't that way. It's sort of like the boy that cried wolf type thing. You start calling everybody that, then it becomes not as important as it is when you're trying to expose the real people that need to be exposed. So
you're 100% right. You're 100% right. For the people who are really victims, guess what? They get overshadowed by the people who are not victims. They're opportunists. And this is still, Chuba didn't like who his coach watches for his news outlet. So that's what he got. Anyway, on that.
Well, number one, here's what I'll tell you, sir. Number one's I'm not going to read all his comments, but all I can tell you, sir, is there's been dozens and dozens. There was an outpouring of support from Dabo's current and former players and coaches that says that he does give an F about them, as you so eloquently put it. Now, look, I don't know anything about Mike Gundy because I don't pay attention to Oklahoma. The only thing I know about Oklahoma State is that the coach has a mullet and they have a cowboy for a mascot and they play in the Big 12. So I can't tell you about Mike Gundy. But you did throw Dabo's name in there. And so how about go just listen to what his players say about him? That's all you got to do. I mean, I know that's kind of hard for some people to do because all you really want to do is read Facebook and Twitter and whatever you think you can do to try to make somebody's life miserable. That's where you get your information from. Do some homework. Leave it at that for him.
You saw his players come out of the woodwork for him and support his reputation. Mm-hmm. And that says a lot. Former players, current players, during that entire
and they lose to Oklahoma every year. I do know that about Oklahoma State too.
Yeah. They do lose to Oklahoma, and you were talking about yesterday. We were talking about this whole issue, and you said at the beginning of this broadcast, and man, this is like really, really big if you really stop thinking about it. You said I was expecting something bigger to come out. Like this huge.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe something. There's something to this here. You know, what are we going to hear? Because he kept saying, "Wait, there's more to come." And wait, there's more to come. And then what was more to come is they wanted to listen to rap music and sag their pants in the locker room. I'm glad that they fought for such great change in this world.
Yeah.
Good job, fellas.
Yep. You had a time to speak, and we hear what you really want, loud and clear, guys. Good job.
As soon as we get off the stream, though, I'm gonna sag my pants because that's what I do when I'm not working.
Sag your pants? Why would you even sag your pants, dude? I'm taking my pants off and just walking around in my boxer briefs.
Slim Shady Canes with a $5 super chat. The problem
Slim Shady Canes, yeah.
Problem is 2020 people think they have a right not to be offended. Well, yeah, that's part of the problem.
Yep.
So Clemson Carson's joining you. He's not going to wear pants either.
Good job. Join the movement, man. No pants.
Yeah. I'm gonna wear pants just because I have two young children, two young sons that look up to their dad, and I don't want them running around without pants on and saying, and then their teacher says, "What are you doing without pants on?" Well, my daddy doesn't wear pants at home, you know.
Oh, that does happen. That would happen.
Yes.
I want to throw this out there to everybody. And I want to rant.
Hey, number one, Shannon Sharp is a complete tool, sir. Nobody gives a shit what Shannon Sharp says. Sorry to tell you that.
Yeah. We saw what Xavier Thomas said to him. He said, "Okay, dude, this is getting old." So I'll say this, and I want everybody to hear me loud and clear. And then I get really fired up about this issue. I really get fired up because there's a lot of people who says what they want, why they do what they do, and this is a great example of just human looking at an opportunity. They had a time to speak out on people who truly experience racism, people who truly experience discrimination. Even the music, and I'm not knocking anybody listen to rap. I mean, every now and again I listen to. I mean, I got some old songs I like to listen to. Okay, so I'm not being a hypocrite, y'all. Okay,
I listen to rap music especially the '90s.
Yeah,
love it.
And that was some pretty. I mean, it was pretty honest stuff. What they were saying and how they felt about things.
Oh, by the way, happy birthday! Today's Tupac Shakur's birthday. Rest in peace.
Happy birthday to him.
Rest in peace, Tupac. He would have been 49 years old today.
Yeah, it lets us know how old we're getting.
I know. Tupac is the GOAT. So rest in peace.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is you have all these like real issues that people are really dealing with. And these guys, what just really ticks me off, and you're right, Pete, they got exactly what they wanted. But what they wanted and what they used their voice for was not for something noble at all. And they were ready to get their coach fired over it. Yeah, you're right. Some of you who's calling them kids, that sounds exactly what a kid would do. It sounds just like what a babbling child would do if they're too spoiled.
I'm gonna. Somebody was talking about Shannon Sharp, that guy who's in here a minute ago. He's saying, listen to Shannon Sharp talk about Dabo Swinney. All right. Well, first of all, nobody cares what Shannon Sharp has to say, but let me give you a Shannon Sharp. Who's that jabroni he's on with? Skip Bayless. This guy, I can't even believe this guy has a job, Skip Bayless. And of course, our old buddy Paul Feinbaum. These are the ones that these guys that are leading the charge against the Mike Gundys and the Dabo Sweeneys, which, by the way, I'm not putting Mike Gundy in Dabo Sweeney's category because I think the track record speaks for itself. Dabo runs just a better program than Mike Gundy does. And I don't know anything about Mike Gundy. He might be a piece of crap for all I know. I really don't know. But, of course, our boy Paul Feinbaum is running around talking about Dabo Swinney. Let me see if I can find old Paul's statements. I want to read them word for word. I want to quote them, so I don't want to get them wrong. But they're pretty despicable statements. Back in 2016. I don't know if I will be able to find them.
While you're looking for that, I'll throw this out there. If you're a piece of trash of a person, okay, I get it. I know a lot of useless waste of human skin, and they're wasting a good Social Security number. I know that. I know those people. And they come in all forms, shapes, sizes, whatever. Makes a lot of money, absolutely poor. I know those people. But what I want to make a clear statement here is just because you're a crappy person doesn't make you a racist and doesn't make it okay for anybody to try to ruin your reputation just to grind an axe. Just saying.
Yeah. Slim Shady Canes with a $10 super chat says people need to remember that there are consequences to living in a free society, and one of those consequences is people are going to get used to their freedom in ways you don't like. Amen to that, sir. Amen, and thank you for the donation. Here's what Paul Feinbaum said in 2016 in a radio interview, where it wasn't on his show, it was on somebody else's show. Just buckle your seatbelt for this. It started out with talking about the Colin Kaepernick kneeling thing, which, by the way, Paul Feinbaum's all for that now. And anybody like people like Dabo Swinney, Mike Gundy, and Paul Feinbaum's eyes, he's leading the train for them to be outcast and ostracized in the sports world. Okay, just keep that in mind. When 4 years ago, this is what he was saying. He said, "I honestly have no idea where he's coming from with all of this." Talking about Colin Kaepernick. This was on his show. What really does get me is the fact that he's capable of doing something like that when his country, which he so blatantly spit on, this country is what gave him the opportunity to rise to the stars and be recognized and celebrated. What kind of man is capable of doing that, giving the sort of thanks to the very community that supported him and admired him? Seriously, I can't get over the fact that what he has done is so disrespectful. Then he says, you want to talk about discrimination and oppression? Sure. But let's talk about how white people are being treated unfairly and unequally for a change. That's the topic we should be addressing, especially when it comes to sports. That's your boy, Paul Feinbaum, who's running around waving the flag for social injustice, saying that there's black people aren't being oppressed, threw Colin Kaepernick under the bus, and then said that white people are being oppressed in sports, not black people. This is my problem with this. Going back to what that guy said earlier about Shannon Sharp. How come the Shannon Sharps of the world and the rest of these people in the media aren't all over that statement that he made, but they're all over everybody else for much, much less egregious acts and really things that they didn't have a bad meaning behind. I'd say that Paul Feinbaum meant what he said in that statement. It's pretty clear that he meant what he was saying there.
It's just appalling to me that here you are, you and I are doing a show live right now. So this is going to be recorded. People can download this if they have if they have the capability. They can download it. You and I will probably, unless something happens to it, we'll never take this down. This will be up for anybody to see. So while you and I are live, you went on the internet and you found this statement from not 10 years ago, 20 years ago, yada, yada, yada. You didn't have to go through the annals of time to find this. This was 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And you don't hear it anymore. Now, if that's how Feinbaum feels about things, I'm fine with it. I'm fine. If that's how he feels about
there's
things.
A lot of people that agree with him. The point is,
okay,
he's being a hypocrite. That's the point.
And if there is one thing that I can't stand, is a hypocrite. I can't stand it. If you stand on right or left in the middle, blah blah blah, on any issue, at least you showed me your hand. But when you're sitting there and you're being a hypocrite, I'll tell you somebody who has pissed me off during this entire time, Jalen Rose. So when the whole news broke about Dabo, so we got Jalen Rose talking about, he totally took everything out of context, which, we're all used to stuff like that with a lot of media figureheads. This is the same guy who said that he hated Duke basketball and his reasons. Everybody go look this up. Don't trust me for it. Please look up Jalen Rose and Duke basketball. He said it was because they didn't recruit players like him, and the black players that they recruited were Uncle Toms. It sounds like old Jalen has a problem with black people that is not exactly like him. And what does that fall into, my friend? It falls into, if you're not like me, I don't like you. There's some other words that are starting to click in my head for that. I'm just saying, when you hear some of these guys talk, I just sit and laugh because I'm like, if anybody is an objective human being, forget Dabo, forget Clemson, forget that we love the team, forget that we've been pulling for them forever. Let's just talk about
No, we've only been pulling for them since 2014.
Yeah, that's right. You and I've only been pulling for them for a few years.
Since 2014. Everybody does
2014. Yeah, sorry, 2014.
Yeah.
If anybody is using any type of just any type of critique, a logical, like, hey, let's just be honest with ourselves, looking at the statements that are being made, dude, it's like, this is bad. This is not good. This is not okay. And it's just, once again, opportunists. And the sad thing about a lot of opportunists, they're taking the eyes off the people who are truly victims of discrimination and racism and discrimination and segregation. It's horrible. It's awful. And they're being posted like they're Dr. Martin Luther King. No, you're not. Don't you think for one second that you're Martin Luther King? Dear God.
Yeah, Slim Shady Kane's coming through with another $10 super chat. Thank you, sir. Says, I'm old enough to remember when it was a thing to say in this country to say, I may not agree with that, but you may have to say it, but I'll defend it to the death. Your right to say it. Well, that's exactly what I said at the beginning of the stream, sir. And you're 100% right. Thank you. Yeah. And I just saw another ignorant comment go by. I can't highlight it because it went off the screen by now by our boy. I don't know if this guy's trolling or he's just ignorant or both. He's probably an ignorant troll. Says that Dabo just has white privilege. That old gag. Despite the fact that Dabo Swinney grew up poor, completely poor, in a broken home, and earned his way into a head coaching position, he still has white privilege. That's the reason he got the job. I guess the white privilege is what won him 2 national championships in the past 4 years too.
Yeah. For him to be white privilege, he sure does have a respect of a lot of black players, and I don't know what it is.
And coaches.
And coaches.
His right hand man. The first hire he made was a guy, who was a former coach of his at Alabama.
Exactly.
And he hired him to be his right hand man, and he calls the guy his father too. But I'm sure
Who cares? Who cares, Pete? He is covering, man. He is covering.
Yeah.
He's covering it all up.
He's been spending his whole life covering.
When his mom was sleeping in his dorm because she was homeless, he was covering. He knew this entire thing was going to pan out this way. Here's what I would like to say to anybody on the issue. Look, man, good men and women died, and children died to get to this country and form it in the way it is. And man, there's a lot of crappy things that happened in this country. But one of the things they fought for was freedom of opinion, freedom of speech. And you also have freedom of reaction. It's a whole other thing when we're starting to look at people and go, look, you wore that T-shirt. And by the way, the thing about Sweeney, they took that picture in the timeline out of it. And no matter how many times that you correct them, the picture that's going around of Football Matters wasn't even in the right timeline. And they go, yeah, I know. But anyway, that's insensitive. Dude, if I wore a shirt 6 months ago and it comes out today, somebody just posted it, well, that's insensitive. I didn't know what was going to be happening 6 months from now. And by the way, if I could tell the future, I would be in Vegas making a killing and ending marriages. I mean, come on. Just people are taking advantage of this. And once again, the opportunists are covering up the real victims, and I'm sick of it. A question for you. I want to switch. I kind of want to switch off of this because this is like getting me really ticked off. It's really getting me ticked off for because I really take offense to friends of mine who are Black, who has experienced racism. And I got Cuba over here who's pissing and moaning because he just wants to listen to his own music. And so I can't take him anymore. Tigertown Tavern. Tigertown Tavern, for anybody who doesn't know, of course, good Clemson Christian people here. I'm being sarcastic there, but good Clemson people knows about Tigertown Tavern, Triple T's. It's there. It's a staple there. I would say other than
the SO Club.
SO Club and maybe TD's. Yeah. Everybody knows about Triple T's. Closed down due to COVID. Now they're having to close down again. Is it the end for one of the great spots there in I've shot pool there, had a few drinks there several times. Is it the end for one of the great places in college football?
I hope not. I don't think so. So anybody doesn't know who we're talking about, Tigertown Tavern shut down for the second place case of COVID by one of their staff members. So of course we had to shut down for the pandemic for whatever it was, 8 weeks. Then they opened back up. One of their staff members tested positive with COVID. They shut down for another couple of weeks. Now they open back up, and they're having to shut down again because another staff member tested positive with COVID. And there's a worry out there that they will not survive this financially. So there is, as far as I know, I think there's like a GoFundMe account or something to try to help them out. Because if they have to close for 2 more weeks or whatever it is, if they can't make it through that, it's hard enough to run a bar and restaurant, let alone be out of business for 12 out of 16 weeks.
Yeah,
with no income coming in. So hopefully they're able to make it. I think the good people up there in the upstate of South Carolina will make sure they stay open. Hopefully.
Well, I'll tell you this. Of course, I'm from that area. I'm from Seneca. It's right outside of Clemson. For those of you who don't know the geographic area, and I can tell you that there is a lot of investors who are very powerful in that area who would be chomping at the bit to not only buy that location, but they would probably buy the name. And before we came on here, you and I were talking. I said, dude, we got to figure out a way to buy this. It's like my cousin, like 6 years ago, he called me up. He said, we're big Home Alone fans. I know everybody make fun of me for that. We love Home Alone. And he called me up, and he owns properties and so on. He calls me, he goes, dude, did you hear that the Home Alone house has went up for sale? How do we buy it? And I'm like, dude, I don't know.
Is that house really in Chicago?
The house is in a suburb of Chicago. It's actually right around it's right above.
Obviously, I'm a Home Alone fan too, because I know where that house, because I know where it took place. Yeah,
it's actually right above Evanston, right above Northwestern.
Okay.
And so when you go look at the map, go look up, just type in Google Home Alone house. I know we're getting on a rabbit trail, but who cares? It's our show. Go to Google, type in Home Alone house. This is what blew me away. I have actually seen it inside
so if you go to Bobby Durkin's search history on Google, it actually says Home Alone house in there.
Yes, it actually does. And my wife every now will be looking at me going, unless you hit the lottery, we're not buying this, right? I'm like, yeah, I know.
How much is it?
I think the last selling price, right off the top of my head, if anybody wants to look it up, I want to say 1.6 million. What is interesting about that house is, from our view, we think it's like nestled in the suburb, and it is. We don't realize that house is right at Lake Michigan. So Lake Michigan, if you drive over, like, I don't know, it's right off the top of my head, 5 miles, if that. No, it might even be 2.
Maybe
You're right on Lake
Michigan. Maybe Jim Harbaugh will buy it with his Michigan money, and he can have sleepovers with recruits there.
He sure can. Sure can, and he can dig in his drawers and then eat it. I don't know.
What's up, Prince? How you doing? What's up? I just saw Cody Lashney in here. How you doing, sir? Thank you all for joining us. Hey, so we got about 10 minutes left, Bobby, on the stream. Let's get some questions from the chat.
Yes,
that's what I want to do. We're going to spend the last 10 minutes. If you want to answer, if you want any questions for me or Bobby or both, let's go ahead and type it in there. And then Cody Lashney says, hold on here. Amari Rodgers is going to have the best year of all the Clemson receivers. I think that's pretty good bet there. Him and Trevor need to connect on those routes, on those go routes. Yes. I saw something that Amari Rodgers tweeted the other day, said he feels better than he ever has in college. So I hope that he's, I mean, that's obviously him just being confident, but I hope that I do look for a big year from him. Last year was disappointing because he was coming off the injury and all of that, but he's a special player. So I agree.
I agree with you, Cody. It's good to hear from you, buddy. It's good to talk to you. Every now and again we talk, and I think I follow you on Twitter. You follow me on Twitter. I think what we need out of him is we need the cliche third and Renfro out of him. I think that's what we need out of him. I think when he came back for that Syracuse game and they threw that out route to him and he took it to the house, you could see, and he even said after the game, I felt the fastest I have been ever. And he looked it. So I'm really looking for this to be a big year for him, especially with Ross being out. They're two different types of receivers. They play two different types of games. But that game that he brings to our game, I think is very, very powerful. And I would love to see him open up a can. I mean, especially since he's been through what he's been through.
Man, some great questions coming in here. I got I'm sorry, these things are going by so quick. I got who will win the Heisman. I'm going to try to answer these the order they came in there. Who will win the Heisman? Will Clemson make the national championship? Will E.J. Williams start this year? That's a good question. Damn, I forgot the other ones. The thing I hate about this stupid StreamYard, I can't scroll back up and read comments.
I can go through them because I've just got it pulled up.
All right, so I'll start answering this. Yeah. Heisman front runners I have as obviously Trevor Lawrence is on that list, and obviously Justin Fields is on that list. Let's be honest here. In order for a non-quarterback to win the Heisman these days, it's got to be like super crazy stats. So yeah. I'd say if I had to bet any amount of money on it, it'll be one of those two guys. Plus, they play on really good teams.
Yeah.
Can Clemson make the national championship this year, or will they? I don't know. I mean, there's only two teams in America that do. It's not easy to do. So I'm not going to guarantee that. What do you think?
Heisman Trophy. We know that Trevor and ETN, I believe, will be in the top. I think top 10. Here's the deal. I've just like this past season, everybody had their thoughts on both of them. I try to make this fast, and we see where they ended up. And then everybody's like, "Oh my God, they had such a horrible season. They had fantastic numbers." You know what I'm saying? I lean towards Justin Fields to win the Heisman Trophy because Ohio State is more interested in a lot of yards. Clemson's just interested get in the game, win the game, get them out. So I think Justin Fields wins the Heisman Trophy. National championship, I definitely believe Clemson makes it back to the national championship. If their O-line can hold up and then we can see some maturity on the defense, I go as far as to say if we play football this coming season, and we lean towards that they will in some modified form, I think they do win the national championship again because once again, coaching, everything, they have the most complete team.
Boom. Who will Clemson play in the ACC championship? I think Cody Lashney asked that. That's a good question too. Man, there's probably about 3 or 4 teams that have a possibility of getting to that game in the Coastal Division. I'm going to put my money on one of these 4 teams. I know it's more than half of the division and all, but listen, North Carolina, Miami.
One of those teams and the other team.
I probably say North Carolina, Miami are my top 2, and then behind that would be Pitt, Virginia, and Virginia Tech.
I take, and I'm probably hopping on a bandwagon. I mean, what do I have to lose? I'm just on here saying a bunch of crappy stuff. I would say that North Carolina would be my leader. Miami, if they can get their crap together, they still have a lot of talent. And then after that, I mean, just let them all beat the crap out of each other. Whoever crawls out of there, we'll put that at 3.
Thank you, Prince, my man. He says, "Are y'all ready to make fun of the old man at the Esso Club again?"
That's our buddy. It's our buddy. Yes, I am.
Hey, we almost had to whip that dude's ass, didn't we, Prince? Is it? That was crazy. I don't even know if we have enough time to get into that story. We might, you know what? We might have to tell that story next week, though, for anybody who doesn't know what he's talking about.
What is truly interesting is you, Tiger Nation, and myself, we're all around the same size, and then you got Prince behind us. He's just massive. And it's like, I mean, we're the 3 of us are going to put up. We're going to be scrappy. We really
and listen, that guy had no chance. He was so drunk. It wouldn't matter. Listen, he could have got beat up by anybody.
And it was the women at that table who sent him over, which lets me know she was very unhappy in her marriage, and she was just trying to get rid of him.
It's like, you had to go tell that man to just sit down. Go sit down. Sit your drunk ass down, dude.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Anyway, let's see here. Will EJ Williams start this year, the freshman wide receiver? Let's see here. So we got Ngata, Ladson, Amari Rogers. Obviously, Ross is hurt. So yeah, I think he'll start at some point. Maybe not every game.
Right? Be a contributor and play the entire season.
I think the question was, will he start?
Will he start?
I don't know. Yeah, I think he'll start some. Not every game though.
I think that if they get a little later on in the season, and when I say later on this season, I'm talking about game 3, and he's coming out and he's doing really, really well, and we see Ngata or Ladson kind of playing flat. I could see them saying, because Sweeney and Elliott, they're very big on competition. Nobody is guaranteed a job on that field, and that's what makes their coaching style beautiful. Is they're encouraging competition. You have not deserved this. And we've seen that in the past. I could definitely see them starting. So yeah, maybe.
All right. I think that's everything for the questions that I had. Let's see. Virginia Tech lost Bud Foster. I don't know if that's a question or not. That's more of a statement than a question. That's from Slim Shady Canes. Virginia Tech lost Bud Foster. I think they will take a step back this year. Well, the defense was never really Virginia Tech's problem. It's been their offense for, a long time now, right? Even when what's his face was still the head coach there, they had offensive problems.
Yeah, they had the offensive problems, and I think one of the problems with Virginia Tech, and it doesn't make sense to this day, especially who they hired as their head coach and what an offensive juggernaut he is. They never could get the offense rolling. They still can't get the offense rolling, which goes back to something that you and I've talked about independently on our channels and on here and other people's channels, is that, hey, man, you may be able to rack up 600 yards in the MAC or whatever. When you come to ACC, SEC, Pac-12, it's a different game.
Yeah. I think one of the questions I missed was who will start in the secondary this season? Well, you got Goodrich, Kendrick, Booth. That's probably your top 3 corners, I think. And at safety's going to be a rough one as far as experience goes. You got Landon Zanders at safety, Nolan Turner, who made the big play at the end of the Ohio State game last year in the playoffs. That's probably your 2 top safeties, right? Do you have the roster pulled up?
I'm looking at it right here. Landon Sanders, Nolan Turner, Jalen Phillips, and Joseph Charleston.
Yeah, Charleston. That's another one.
Yeah,
Charleston's a young guy too. He got a little bit of playing time last year.
He did. He did.
Now linebackers, you got Balin Spector, Skalski, and Mike Jones. That's your top 3 linebackers right there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and Skalski's a freak, and Mike Jones is just he's a freak athlete. I think the biggest thing for Clemson fans is, guys, remember, we've had one of the best players I think ever came to the halls of our school, in Isaiah Simmons. He's now gone. So stop it. Do not expect or fall into a panic when these guys in their own way don't do what he did. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that not just Clemson fans, a lot of fans are really bad to do. So it's just like, let each player be their own player and call it.
A couple good. We'll do 2 more questions here before we get off. We're at an hour here. Talk to the Paul wants to know, do you think Travis can break another school record this season? Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. And he's gonna by the time this season's over with, if he doesn't get hurt, he's gonna own every single. I think he already pretty much owns almost every single ACC record. I mean, he owns the ACC touchdown record. He might eclipse the yardage record. He'll probably own the yards per carry record. I mean, he'll own the ACC records at running back if he stays healthy, and probably a bunch of Clemson ones as well. Let's see. Last question here from Cody Latchney. How many sacks does true freshman Brian Brzee have this year? What do you think, Bobby? What's your guess on that?
Well, first of all, we have to look at he's got a lot of good people around him. So normally when you're scheming for a crazy defensive end, and you walk out there and you're like, oh my God, this, especially when J.J. Watt was like really, really crazy and other players like him. So we've got to really, really focus on him. Who do you say that? I mean, who do you really say that about when it comes down to the Clemson line, because they're so loaded? I think that there are going to be people who will begin to focus on him, and it might take away some of his sacks, and all of a sudden somebody else is going to go just nuts because who do you focus on this line because it's so good? I think he finishes with about 11 sacks this year. I think that would be totally. I think we would see 11 sacks out of this guy because he's powerful. He has a great ability, but he's going to be able to do his thing, because if you say, okay, I'm going to shut down I'm going to shut down Brzee. So you're going to shut down Xavier Thomas. You're just going to forget about him. You're going to forget about KJ Henry. You're going to forget about Miles Murphy. You're going to forget about Tyler Davis. You're going to forget about Niles Pinckney.
Well, that's the reason. That's the reason I don't think he's going to get to 11, because they're going to be so stacked on defensive line. He's not going to be playing every down.
I think that the offensive lines are going to be overwhelmed.
Well, I do too, but 11 for a true freshman would be amazing. I'm going to say 6. I'm going to go about half of that. And I'd be happy with 6 too. If he gets 11 in his freshman year, that'd be unbelievable.
I mean, I know what I'm saying is really, really a crazy shot out there, but I have, and I know you have too, and a lot of us have, watched the film on this guy. And early on, there's going to be a lot of attention on him, so you may not see him get these crazy numbers, but I think they're going, whoever they're playing, and over the season's time, they're going to focus so much on stopping him. The other guys are going to take advantage of it, and then they're like, okay, what do we do now? And so I know that's probably a shot in the dark, but I think he could definitely land that.
Well, I hope you're right.
That good. I hope I'm right too, my friend.
I hope you're right. Man, we had a good turnout tonight. A lot of very amazing and fantastic people came in here tonight, Bobby.
Sure,
talked to the Paul, Cody Lashley, to Goat Watson. We saw Prince 6'1", Tiger Nate, Clemson Carson, College Football Maniac. The list goes on and on. A bunch of people. Slim Shady Canes came through with a bunch of super chats and some great questions.
Might I add, and I won't call him out, my dad is in here. My dad is, and Bobby Durkin's dad is in here.
Papa Durkins. That's what we're going to call him.
Papa Durkins is in here. He is watching. So I better bring my A game, and I better keep it straight. You know what I'm saying? But hey, listen, I want to say this to everybody out there. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys are awesome. Even when we might even disagree, you're awesome. We have so much fun with all of you. It is so much fun. We have a blast, and I'm just glad you're here. This is what college football and what we do is all about.
Yes. Well said. I'm going to leave it at that. And we will see you guys again next week at Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm sure we'll have some more nonsensical subjects to talk about with you. And I'm sure
absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon. See you later, Bobby.
Take care.
All right.